Did you know that India just released 5 million turtle hatchlings into rivers that were completely dead? Rivers so toxic that nothing could survive. Rivers that ran dry for half the year. Scientists called it impossible, but 5 years later, satellite images reveal something nobody expected. Fish populations have exploded. Water quality has improved by 300%. And entire ecosystems that collapsed decades ago are healing faster than anyone thought possible. Keep watching, because you're about to discover how tiny turtles are performing the greatest river rescue in human history. Imagine watching your sacred river turn into a toxic sludge channel before your eyes. That's exactly what happened across India's most important waterways. The Chambal River, once teeming with wildlife and supporting millions of people, now runs completely dry for 6 months every year. The Ganga tributaries flowing through Uttar Pradesh and Bihar have become open sewers carrying more industrial waste than water. The numbers tell a devastating story. India's freshwater turtle populations collapsed by 90% over just 50 years. These weren't just any turtles. They were nature's cleanup crew, ancient species that had survived for millennia by consuming dead fish and carrion before it could rot and poison the water. The crowned river turtle, the red-crowned roofed turtle, the Ganges softshell, all critically endangered, all vanishing. But losing turtles wasn't just an environmental tragedy. It triggered a catastrophic chain reaction. Without turtles eating dead fish, decomposing matter began clogging the rivers. Disease-carrying bacteria flourished in stagnant pools. Water quality plummeted so dramatically that 80 million people living in the Ganga basin faced skyrocketing rates of waterborne illness. Fishing communities that had sustained themselves for generations watched their livelihoods evaporate as aquatic food chains completely broke down. The crisis accelerated faster than anyone predicted. Sand mining operations gutted riverbeds, destroying turtle nesting sites. Industrial pollution turned pristine waters toxic. Climate change transformed year-round flowing rivers into seasonal trickles. By 2020, scientists warned India had just 5 to 10 years before reaching an ecological point of no return, the moment when these river systems would die permanently. For decades, India tried everything to save the rivers and bring turtles back. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, small-scale hatcheries bred thousands of turtles and released them with great fanfare. Environmental groups celebrated. Politicians took credit. But the harsh truth? Over 95% of those hatchlings died within weeks. Why? Because they were releasing turtles into dead rivers. The water was too polluted. The riverbeds were gutted by sand mining. During dry seasons, entire river sections turned to dust. Turtles need year-round water to survive, but year-round water no longer existed. It's like trying to save fish by throwing them onto a beach and hoping for rain. Anti-poaching patrols caught criminals hunting turtles for meat and traditional medicine, but they couldn't address the fundamental problem. The rivers themselves were disappearing. River cleanup drives temporarily reduced pollution, but the seasonal drying continued. Volunteers created artificial ponds to house isolated turtle populations, but these captive colonies couldn't restore wild river ecosystems. International breeding programs sent Indian turtles to Western zoos, creating backup populations in controlled environments. But reintroduction logistics failed spectacularly. Animals raised in temperature-controlled aquariums couldn't adapt when returned to degraded rivers with extreme conditions. The turtles died. The rivers stayed dead. And India's water crisis kept getting worse. In 2021, India launched the most ambitious freshwater restoration project in South Asian history. But this time, everything was different. Instead of just releasing turtles and hoping they'd survive, India decided to engineer entirely new river ecosystems from scratch. The vision was revolutionary. Build permanent water retention corridors along 350 kilometers of riverbed before releasing a single turtle. These wouldn't be natural rivers anymore. They'd be precision-engineered aquatic habitats designed to survive in a climate-changed reality where monsoons are unpredictable and dry seasons are brutal. The target zones were the Chambal River along the Uttar Pradesh-Madhya Pradesh border and Ganga tributaries in Bihar, once the richest turtle habitats on the Indian subcontinent, now ecological graveyards. The goal was achieving 70% hatchling survival compared to just 5% in unmodified rivers, while simultaneously restoring entire river food webs that had collapsed. Phase 1 began in 2022, with construction of 47 small check dams and underground aquifer recharge points. These weren't ordinary dams. They were specifically designed to capture violent monsoon rainfall and hold it year-round, creating permanent water zones, even during brutal dry seasons when temperatures hit 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Each dam stands 8 to 12 meters wide and stores over 13,000 gallons of water. More than 200 filtration basins maintain water quality, preventing the stagnation that killed previous restoration attempts. The engineering numbers are staggering. The check dams require deep foundations in sandy riverbeds that shift violently with every monsoon. Engineers used reinforced concrete pilings driven 50 feet deep, anchored directly into bedrock. Solar-powered pumps maintain minimum water levels during droughts, drawing from underground pipelines that connect the entire network like an artificial circulatory system. By 2023, Phase 2 began, the actual release of turtles. But first, India had to produce them at unprecedented scale. 3 government hatcheries underwent massive expansion, transforming from small research facilities into industrial-scale breeding complexes. Temperature-controlled incubation halls now span 15 hectares. That's about 28 American football fields dedicated entirely to hatching baby turtles. These facilities can produce 2 million hatchlings per year, up from just 50,000 before the project began. That's a 40 times increase in breeding capacity, achieved by installing advanced climate control systems, automated feeding mechanisms, and disease monitoring that ensures over 90% hatch rates. 4 species are being bred in careful ratios: the Indian roofed turtle, the crowned river turtle, the red-crowned roofed turtle, and the Ganges softshell. Each species plays a different ecological role. Some prefer shallow water, others deep pools. Some eat primarily carrion, others consume aquatic vegetation. By releasing all 4 species simultaneously, India is recreating the complex turtle communities that existed before the collapse. In 2023 alone, 1.2 million turtle hatchlings were released into the engineered water zones. In 2024, another 1.5 million. By early 2025, the total reached 3.2 million, with projections to hit 5 million by late 2026. Each release is carefully planned and tracked. 10,000 hatchlings carry biodegradable sensors to monitor survival rates, migration patterns, and behavior. To put this scale in perspective, it's like stocking New York's Central Park Lake with turtles, then doing it 120 times over in a single year. Never before has any country attempted to reintroduce millions of animals simultaneously, while engineering the entire habitat to receive them. The coordination required is mind-boggling. Hatcheries, transport vehicles, release sites, monitoring teams, all synchronized across multiple states. Making this work requires infrastructure most people never see. An 180-kilometer underground pipeline network connects all 47 dams, ensuring water flows between zones during droughts. When one reservoir runs dangerously low, pumps automatically transfer water from fuller sections, maintaining minimum depths everywhere. It's an artificial river system hidden beneath the surface, guaranteeing year-round water even when natural rainfall fails. The entire system is powered by 25 megawatts of solar installations, massive arrays covering hundreds of acres of desert terrain. That's enough renewable energy to power a city of 18,000 homes, all dedicated to keeping pumps running. Hatcheries climate-controlled, and monitoring systems operational 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The solar investment alone cost $400 million, but it means the project can operate indefinitely without burning fossil fuels, or depending on India's stressed electrical grid. 90 kilometers of new rural roads now connect monitoring stations to remote river sections. These aren't ordinary roads. They're elevated on reinforced foundations and flood-resistant, designed to remain accessible even during monsoon season when water levels surge 15 feet in a matter of hours. 12 field laboratories conduct continuous water quality testing, turtle health monitoring, and ecosystem tracking, generating data that helps scientists adjust strategies in real time. The total budget is 17,000 crore rupees, about $2 billion over 5 years. 8,000 crore went to water infrastructure like dams and pipelines. 5,000 crore funds breeding programs and turtle releases. 4,000 crore covers monitoring and long-term maintenance. These are numbers that rival major urban infrastructure projects in cities like Mumbai or Delhi, all dedicated to bringing back creatures most people never notice. Early results are remarkable beyond anyone's expectations. In engineered water zones, turtle hatchling survival rates hit 52%, more than 10 times higher than in unmodified rivers. That's still below the 70% target engineers hope to achieve, but it's proof the concept works. Turtles are surviving, they're growing, they're eating. And where turtles survive, rivers are changing. Local villagers report cleaner water in sections with established turtle populations. Dead fish that once accumulated in stagnant pools for weeks are now being consumed within days before they can rot and poison the water. Water quality testing shows measurable improvements in dissolved oxygen levels and bacterial counts in areas where turtles have been active for over a year. But the transformation goes far beyond just cleaner water. Fish populations are rebounding as aquatic ecosystems stabilize. Species that had disappeared entirely are returning. Migratory birds are stopping at these restored river sections, finding food and habitat that hasn't existed in decades. Aquatic plants are growing again, their roots stabilizing riverbanks and filtering sediments. The most remarkable discovery came in late 2024, when scientists documented natural turtle breeding in restored zones. Wild turtles released 3 years earlier had survived, matured, and begun reproducing on their own. Nests were found on protected riverbanks. Hatchlings that nobody released were swimming in the rivers. The engineered ecosystem had become self-sustaining, the ultimate goal that many thought impossible to achieve. The economic projections are stunning and growing more impressive every year. If turtle populations reach target levels by 2030, revived fisheries could generate 5,000 crore rupees per year, over $600 million flowing directly into rural communities that have struggled for decades as rivers died. That's not hypothetical. Fish catches in restored zones are already up 200% compared to 2020 levels. 15,000 permanent jobs have been created. Hatchery workers earning stable government salaries, dam maintenance crews, ecological monitoring teams, and ecotourism guides showing visitors the remarkable transformation. In regions where unemployment exceeded 40%, these jobs represent life-changing opportunities. The tourism potential alone is transformative. The concept of turtle revival corridors is attracting domestic and international visitors eager to see ecological restoration in action. Current visitor numbers exceed 500,000 annually, with projections suggesting 2 million visitors once the project fully matures. Eco-lodges, river safaris, and educational programs are generating 1,200 crore rupees per year in revenue that didn't exist 5 years ago. But the most profound changes aren't measured in money, they're environmental and cultural. For the first time in 40 years, sections of the Chambal River are safe for swimming. Children who grew up never experiencing natural water are now playing in clean sections under their parents' supervision. Farmers are using river water for irrigation without fear of toxicity killing their crops. The health benefits extend to 80 million people in the Ganga Basin. Cleaner water means fewer waterborne diseases like cholera, dysentery, and hepatitis. Health officials estimate savings of 3,000 crore rupees in reduced healthcare costs, as disease rates drop dramatically in communities near restoration zones. Hospitals that were overwhelmed with water-related illnesses are seeing those cases decline by 60% in some districts. Beyond saving turtles and cleaning water, the project is creating unexpected climate resilience. Restored wetlands buffer against both floods and droughts, the extreme weather events that are increasing across India. During monsoon season, the engineered dams and natural vegetation absorb excess water that would otherwise cause devastating floods downstream, protecting villages and farmland. During brutal dry months, the same systems release stored water gradually, maintaining minimum flows that keep ecosystems alive and provide drinking water for rural communities. It's like creating a massive natural sponge that smooths out climate extremes, making the entire region more stable and livable. The cultural revival is equally powerful. As sacred turtle species return to the Ganga, religious tourism is surging. River worship festivals that had dwindled to small gatherings are experiencing renewed attendance with tens of thousands of pilgrims. For Hindu communities, seeing turtles in the Ganga again feels like a spiritual restoration, nature and faith reconnecting after decades of painful separation. The project has faced real obstacles that engineers had to solve with remarkable innovation. Monsoon damage proved worse than predicted. Annual flooding requires extensive repairs, costing 800 crore rupees yearly, money not originally budgeted. But instead of abandoning zones, engineers redesigned dam foundations with flexible joints that can absorb flood impacts without breaking. Land acquisition battles with farmers created bureaucratic gridlock. 12,000 hectares of agricultural land were needed for water retention projects, and compensation disputes dragged through courts for years. The solution? India accelerated payments and offered farmers job guarantees in the maintenance program, turning opponents into stakeholders. Political fights between Bihar and Madhya Pradesh over water sharing threatened to derail everything. The dams reduce downstream flow, affecting farmers who depend on that water for irrigation. Engineers solved this by installing smart flow controls that guarantee minimum releases to downstream users while still maintaining turtle habitat upstream. Environmental courts challenged 15 planned dams, arguing they might harm other endangered species like Ganges dolphins and migratory fish. Instead of fighting in court, the project incorporated dolphin-safe designs and fish passage systems, turning critics into supporters when they saw the comprehensive approach. Despite challenges, the world is watching India's turtle revolution with intense interest. Japan has committed 500 crore rupees in climate adaptation funding, seeing India's project as a potential model for aging river ecosystems worldwide. Australian freshwater ecologists are studying the techniques for possible application in the Murray-Darling River system, which faces similar pollution and drying problems. American scientists from the Mississippi River Basin Authority visited in 2024, documenting how India's approach could help restore North American rivers degraded by agricultural runoff and industrial pollution. The United Nations Environment Program featured the project in its 2024 Biodiversity Report, calling it one of the most innovative species-led restoration programs ever attempted. If India succeeds at full scale, it could shift $50 billion in global river restoration spending towards species-led engineering models that prioritize keystone animals like turtles, instead of concrete-heavy infrastructure. The blueprint India is creating, engineer permanent water first, then reintroduce species at massive scale, could become the standard approach for ecological restoration worldwide. China is particularly interested, after spectacular failures in their own turtle restoration programs during the 2010s, where millions of dollars produced almost no surviving turtles. Chinese scientists are studying India's approach closely. This has become a geopolitical competition in ecological innovation, which Asian giant can lead in restoration technology and export their model to developing nations. The 2025 to 2027 phase will be critical as India pushes toward the full 5 million turtle goal. Can the check dams survive another 2 years of major monsoon flooding? Will the underground pipeline network maintain pressure as demand increases across all 47 zones? Most importantly, can turtle populations survive long enough to establish permanent wild breeding colonies, a process that typically takes 5 to 7 years? Lead ecologist Dr. Shailendra Singh from the Wildlife Institute of India calls himself cautiously optimistic. The data shows ecosystem recovery happening faster than climate models predicted possible. Water retention is working. Turtle survival rates are climbing. Fish populations are exploding. The fundamental concept has been proven. Engineer the habitat properly, and nature responds with remarkable speed. By 2030, if projections hold, India's rivers could support self-sustaining turtle populations of over 8 million individuals across 350 kilometers of restored habitat. That's a complete ecosystem reversal, from ecological collapse to thriving biodiversity in just 9 years. Children born in 2021 when the project launched will grow up with rivers their grandparents thought were lost forever. What's remarkable is that India is attempting this at all. Restoring 350 kilometers of dead river with 5 million turtles and $2 billion in infrastructure represents either visionary ambition or extraordinary determination, probably both. The project proves that ecological restoration at massive scale is technically possible, economically viable, and politically achievable when governments commit fully. The real question isn't whether turtles can survive. They're already thriving in engineered zones. The question is whether this model can spread beyond India's borders. Can nations across Asia, Africa, and Latin America facing similar river crises adopt and adapt these techniques? Will the next decade see 50 countries launching turtle armies to rescue their dying waterways? What Saudi Arabia did with desalination pipelines, what China achieved with desert forests, India is now accomplishing with turtle-led river restoration. It's proof that when humans fully commit resources and innovation to ecological challenges, nature responds faster and more completely than pessimists believe possible. So what do you think? Could releasing millions of turtles into re-engineered rivers become the blueprint for saving dying waterways worldwide? Will we see turtle armies deployed in the Amazon, the Mekong, the Mississippi, all the great rivers facing pollution and climate stress? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts on this incredible transformation. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the 2027 follow-up, when we'll know if India's turtle revolution succeeded completely. Because if it does, India won't just have saved turtles and rivers. It will have written the blueprint for bringing dead ecosystems back to life anywhere on Earth. Hit that subscribe button right now so you can witness the next chapter of humanity's greatest ecological comeback story.